burns the walls of motel shame. We lay like thieves last night together. Stole me but never knew my name.
Yeah. So Lorna, I'm going to quote from the Sunday Times here, because I thought this was a very flattering quote of you. Lorna's songwriting is always honest and carefully observed, but she saves the two most distinctive cuts until the end of the album, highlighting the magical contours of her voice. So tell me a little bit about that album, Lorna.
Yeah, thanks. So that was, well, I'll hold it up.
Sure,
yeah. Yeah, so the Falling Like Dew. So that was the first album that I wrote, sort of beginning to end, probably over a few years actually. So it starts out, it's quite jazzy. So, and then it ends, by the end of it, is getting into something that's almost a bit more like prog rock and a little, and then the final piece is very folky and quite minimal. So it was interesting pulling it together because I wasn't sure how that was actually going to work in terms of that blend of putting lots of different genres on it, you know, from jazz through to kind of more bluesy, right through to folk. But, you know, as the article there is, the quote is saying, it seemed to go down well, you know, it seemed to be liked. So
how long have you two been performing together?
5-6 years maybe?
Yeah, 5-6 years. I mean, we did a few gigs together pre-lockdown, and with a sort of fuller band, a bigger sort of jazz band, and well, again, crossing over. Then in lockdown, because obviously, you know, because we were in a bubble together, if you like, so we kind of started doing a lot more acoustic stuff. We would go out into the garden, play to the Spiers, and they appreciated that. So that was then sort of we kind of started to lock more in together in terms of a duo. And
yeah, sure. In a smaller format rather than just the occasional gig, because Lorna plays with quite a lot of jazz musicians. So she's got a good circle that she has floating in her band, so it's nice to be part of that.
Yeah. Well, it'll come as no surprise to you that I've got a lot of friends who are musicians, and all of them seem to know who you are. Oh, and they told me that you had performed in with Tam White in the Shoestring band. So tell me how you got started there, Neil.
Well, I moved from Dunfermline to after Joe's Diner. I moved really permanently to Edinburgh, probably 78. I was there. That was where I decided I was going to spend time. I've been at university up there. Anyway, I had a couple of years where I was just sort of meeting people, trying to get gigs, and I was also teaching a wee bit guitar. And I'd met Tam in this pub duo that he was a friend of mine was playing guitar, and he was looking for some guitar lessons, and my friend who was playing guitar with him, he thought he was a bit of a pest. You know, I don't want to teach him, you can teach him guitar. So he ended up coming around to my house every Friday and we'd listen to Johnny Guitar Watson, and I got into what he was doing because he was just starting to get into blues. He was Ray Charles was his big hero. So at that time he was playing the Dexters, but Jim Condy from Dunfermline was playing with Tam at that time. But when the Dexters split up, he was wanting somebody to work in a duo format, and we kind of had a few years of playing really low-level gigs because he was like a cabaret working men's club artist then. So he wanted to get out of that, and to get into the folks blues scene was difficult, so we had to really start at the beginning. So we ended up around the folk clubs playing duos. Then quite soon after, Fraser Spiers got involved with that, and we moved up a notch. We had a good agent in Edinburgh, so we played all over the Highlands and Islands, over in Germany, and it was a nice compact unit. That was before the invention of the word americana.
Is it true that you taught Tam White to play guitar?
No, he could already play guitar, but and he had a good sense of rhythm, but he didn't. He wanted to learn. We were listening to Johnny Guitar Watson at the time, and he loved this sort of stuff. And they could had no one at that time to show him the chords. They were trying to get him to play either just basic folk tunes, or he was wanting to learn some good inversions and get into more what was then called R&B. He didn't have that ability on guitar. I was just teaching him, saying, or showing him riffs or licks. He was terrible for stealing stuff off me, though. You find out, here's my new tune, that's my riff. But that was the way things were back then. You just it's your tune.
Yeah.
Well, it was hard to learn music then, I suppose, because you couldn't just go on the internet, or it'd be harder to. Suppose if you're listening to an album, you'd have to lift the needle, keep going back.
So, are you guys going to give us a tune?
I think we've got some tunes ready for you. So, the first one we're going to do is a song called "Falling Off the Wagon," and this was written in October, about 3 years ago. Some people might have heard about Sober October. Mm-hmm. And this was an attempt at Sober October that kind of went a wee bit badly wrong. So we'll just make sure that's on. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Woke up down the alley, it was mid-October. One eye shut, I was no longer sober. I'd emptied my pockets of my bottled means. Woke up in a pool of my sweet, sweet dreams. I'd fallen off the wagon, I'd fallen off the wagon. I parade around town, my clean new start. Say goodbye to fun on the temperance card. Waving the flag of my own crusade. I'm laying in a bed I never quite made. I've fallen off the wagon, I've fallen off the wagon. Broken wheels and broken wings, spokes of time that always spin. Oh, last taste of freedom for I join the mission. Pledge myself to the new prohibition. Gets you thinking we still free to choose if we want to win or lose. I've fallen off the wagon, I've fallen off the wagon. Drive the old wagon. Broken wheels and broken wings, spokes of time that always spin. Oh, last taste of freedom for I join the mission. Pledge myself to the new prohibition. Get you thinking we still free to choose if we want to win or lose. I've fallen off the wagon, I've fallen off the wagon. I've fallen, oh, I've fallen. I've fallen, I've fallen, I've fallen.
Have you ever toured America with your music?
Not yet.
Right.
It's always time.
Yeah. Have you been to Nashville?
No, I haven't.
Oh, right. I went there when I was 21. Yeah, it strikes me that your music is just tailor made for Nashville.
Oh, thanks very much.
Good. It's wonderful.
You. Yeah, I mean, I did with Falling Like Dew. I did get invited over to Rochester, New York Jazz Festival.
Yes.
And interestingly, although it was a jazz festival, the promoter said to me, "I don't want jazz. I want your songs." So he wanted something a bit more of, with jazz flavour, but crossover, because he said, well, jazz would be like Coles to Newcastle, is what he said.
Yes, aye.
So it wasn't a tour, but it was an invitation to New York. Yeah.
So when you performed in the Queen's Hall in Edinburgh, was it jazz, or was it with more like Americana kind of music that you were playing there?
Really very much a mix, actually. So
Right.
I would kind of mix it in with, say some Rodgers and Hart, songs that, people like Ella Fitzgerald would have sung, Billie Holiday. So things like Ladies a Tramp. So kind of mix it in with, because I sang jazz standards for many years.
Yeah.
And they've been a real influence, I guess, in my life vocally and spiritually in terms of music. But then the more I got into writing, I found I was getting more and more drawn to roots.
Yes.
And maybe going back to listening to things that, or just those early influences, whether it was James Taylor or Joni Mitchell, Emmylou Harris, all those fantastic country and more kind of country and blues singers.
So for you, what comes first, the music or the lyrics?
For me, it's probably usually it comes out of an idea.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be a concept. So Falling Off the Wagon, it was a concept kind of from Falling Off the Wagon, and in Sober October. So it always tends to start with an idea, and then it's like almost like the music kind of honors the idea. But sometimes, occasionally I would start maybe with a chord sequence, or certainly, like one song we wrote, Souls for Sale, Neil had written the instrumental melody line, and so that was all there. In fact, the whole arrangement. So I wrote the lyrics to that. So I guess, I don't know. Yeah, well, I don't know. But I think it's quite interesting creatively. I don't know what you find, Ian, but just to have different starting points, and maybe not to always start from the same place.
Well, I was going to ask you about that, because it's something I'm interested in very deeply, is what are the right conditions for that peak creative experience? Is it when you're washing the dishes, or is it when you're in the recording studio or with other artists, or after you've had a few? How does it work best for you?
You can be inspired by... I get inspired a lot by being in different places, being in different environments. You feel like, oh, this is a new place, I'd like to make music here. Like I've been to various parts of Asia, and you get these memories of, especially if I'm playing lap steel guitar, I can be playing and think, oh, this has got the sound of the ocean or the sound of nature. And you can also be affected by urban elements as well, if you want to get into sometimes I'm into basic grooves. So just start with very simple phrase. And sometimes I don't write chord sequences, I just have a drone and just noodle over the top. And then with modern technology, you can chop it all up and create something. Miles Davis used to do that even back in the old tape days.
Yeah.
Record jams and actually cut bits out of it and make an arrangement, then play that arrangement, or we can play that new tune. It's like a musical notepad. Sometimes you just record sheets of stuff, and I could record for about 10 minutes and only get 1 minute 30 out of that, but that's the idea.
Yeah. So what's the buzz for you? Is it creating or performing?
A bit of both. I think creating is quite good in the way that you can get a response worldwide. Somebody may have heard your music that you in some obscure place in the world. You think, my goodness, this person's heard me, and it's moved them enough to send an email to you and say they love this piece of music. I had that recently. Somebody on YouTube said, do you have the tablature for this slide guitar piece I'd written? I'd like to play it at a friend's wake, and on and off. And that's great that somebody gets in touch and just playing your piece of music. Yeah. Not just listening to it, but playing it, or wanting to play that piece of music at a dear friend's. That's it.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Of course, you could, that's the plus side of technology. Somebody hears you on Spotify, and what the end result is touch somebody in some way. It's quite.
Yeah. So how about you, Lorna? What is it? Performing does it for you, or is it the writing that?
Yeah, I guess the two are so interrelated. I think when you see a response to something you've written, and people enjoy it, and I think that, because when I first started writing, literally I used to almost say to audiences, permission to play one of my own songs, because I started out, certainly had a long period of time in the jazz genre, and there wasn't really a culture in Scotland of people writing original songs in the jazz genre. people tended to go back to the old American songbook, which obviously because they're fantastic songs.
Sure.
So it was a bit, it felt like a little bit of bravery to sort of literally say to the audience, listen, are you okay? I'm going to play one of my songs. And they were like, yeah, it was like permission almost. And then what I gradually found, people were coming up and saying, oh, you know, we feel when you sing your own songs, you're more you.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting. People saying, we love your own songs. And I realised it wasn't just about whether it was a great song or not, it was actually about how you performed it and how you felt it. So I guess for me, it comes from a place of definitely from the heart. I think everything I write is coming from, you know, either my own emotion or maybe an emotional response to something I hear. You know, it could be on the radio and you think, oh, that's an injustice, or, you know, whatever, you know, maybe it's something that will trigger. So that tends to be my initial thing. But then you go out and you play it and you get a response and you're like, whoa, you know, it's
connects.
So I don't know if it's a sense of validation, so maybe I need to sort of you know, but I think there's also a relationship between yourself and the audience. I don't see it as just about performing like something you do to people. I think it's very much you're in that relationship in the evening or the afternoon, in terms of we're all here to have fun. Something about that live, you know, and that was what was so exciting about coming and playing here, because I think it was like between lockdown, well, you know, it was when we were loud out kind of thing, and it was that excitement of that and being in this wonderful, you know, the fire station and that creativity that you create. I think the environment is really important. Yeah,
that's an abiding memory I have of watching you perform is that everybody's having fun. It's that there's always a great atmosphere in the room when you guys are performing. So maybe it's a good time to hear some more.
Oh, it's
yeah.
A nice segue there. Yeah, very beautiful. Might have to do a little bit the old tuning up, you know, because as I take my cap off. So that's what I'm doing. This song was one that I wrote during lockdown. So I did a sort of online writing with I've got a collective of writers. Excuse me, just want to tune up. And we used to meet, there was a brief set every Sunday, and then we would do a playback on a Saturday night. So, and everybody different people had turns to sort of set the brief. So this brief was about just colour, just something, you know. So it was May at the time, and my blossom tree, I'm very lucky to have a beautiful pink blossom tree in the garden. And I wasn't being able to see my daughter because she was in a flat elsewhere. You know, we couldn't sort of see each other. So it's kind of dedicated to my daughter, and thank you very much to the songwriters that kind of helped to keep me going. And Neil did some lovely arrangements. So this is called Pink Blossom. 1, 2, 3, 4. Feel every word I say. I can't take the blues away. All I have to do is picture your face, and I know I'm safe. I know I'm safe. Every year in May under the pink blossom tree, I will always wait, flowers in my hair, till you come home to me. Blue light from your TV screen, every tick-tock of my mind moves us closer in time. And I know you're mine, I know you're mine. Every year in May under the pink blossom tree, I will always wait, flowers in my hair, till you come home to me. Blue light from your TV screen, and every tick-tock of my mind moves us closer in time. And I know you're mine, I know you're mine. Every year in May, under the pink blossom tree, I will always wait, flowers in my hair, till you come home to me. Every year in May, under the pink blossom tree, I will always wait, flowers in my hair, till you come home to me, home to me, under the pink blossom tree.
That's beautiful.
Thank
Wonderful.
you very much, thank you.
You both make it seem so effortless. But I can only imagine how difficult it must be to learn to play guitar to that standard and then write the song. You know, I have a friend who, you know, Neil, Ken Powery.
Oh, yes.
And he,
very good artist.
yeah, so he
Guitar player.
he paints and plays guitar, and he told me that he finds guitar playing sort of second nature to him, but painting is a chore. Do you find the creative process and rehearsing like hard work, or does it just kind of flow?
A bit of both. I don't think it's hard work. You just got to be persistent and keep on doing it until you can, it becomes second nature, I suppose. Sometimes rehearsing, you know, especially if you don't, well, there's self-study and there's rehearsing. You know, sometimes you can do too much yourself, so that when you get to rehearsal, you know it almost more than anyone else.
Yeah.
So something that can see a bit of a toil rehearsing, but you've got to do it.
Sure. Is there a point in your artistic career where you felt like everything had just crescendoed? You know, everything had come together beautifully, and you know, this is it. Is there a moment that I know I put you on the spot there?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, isn't it? I guess, I mean, probably for me, something like the Queen's Hall, I think, was a real buzz, you know, because it was felt like a real, I guess, an ambition fulfilled, you know, to get into the Queen's Hall in Edinburgh. And I think over in Rochester. But yeah, I think the thing is, it's when the music is really happening. You know, it's you can it can be more of a profile event, if you like, but it might just be, you know, you could just be cooking, you know, with other musicians. And again, if you're getting that buzz, I mean, we did a jazz bar gig recently, and it was absolutely, I mean, the crowd were just going crazy.
Seen a crowd go that crazy about.
So what's next for you two then, performance-wise?
Well, we've, I guess the thing that we're really focusing on at the moment is our Edinburgh Jazz and Blues Festival gig on the 21st of July at 2:00 at the Assembly Roxy. And we've got a jazz bar gig on the 10th of July before that. But I guess the Paris to Texas is the project, the Edinburgh Jazz and Blues Festival. And the reason I'm particularly excited about that is that I guess when I've been booked in the past, it's been predominantly on the back of a jazz name. So, for example, the last time it was Bewitched, Bothered and Bewildered was the title of the show, and it was more based in jazz, whereas this time it's all original. So it's kind of some stuff off the Falling Like Dew album and that EP there, Still Waters, plus some of the new writing that you've... Oh, yeah, still. That's Still Waters, yeah. And... So it's nice. I mean, it's an hour's show, and it's going to be featuring Neil and Weissenborn as well. We've got Fraser, Spiers. So nice to do. It's a more Americana blues show. So that's our big one that we're focusing on at the moment.
Great. So we'll get to Neil and his Weissenborn eventually, but are you guys going to give us another taste before we go there?
Yeah, sure. So I do a lot of collabs, actually. I love collaborating. And so Darden, I met him he was actually a tutor on a retreat I was doing up at Moniach Moor. I don't know if you've ever been up there, up in Inverness. It's like a, artists, poets and retreat up there. Mm-hmm. And I met Darden there, and we wrote this together, and this is called Sweet Baby Blues. Life's illusions in a bottle of wine. It's half empty before I find the things I tell myself are never true. It's 2 in the morning and I'm missing you. Looking over my shoulder, I see you, oh my sweet baby blue. Can't live with it, can't live without. Love is the only thing I love to doubt. I held you in my arms and it scared me so. Like a fool, I let you go. Looking over my shoulder, I see you, oh my sweet baby blues. One more glass, I'll say the words I wish I would have heard myself say yesterday. Why must I always hesitate to look over my shoulder and see you, oh my sweet baby blue. Looking over my shoulder, I see you, oh my sweet baby Blue.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you tell me that you teach creative writing as well?
I don't teach creative writing, but I was recently, I've been doing a university course in creative writing.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah. So, but I'm quite sort of excited by that because it's, I've got a really great lecturer at Edinburgh University, a guy called Nicky Melville, who's a poet. But so it's poetry, short stories, but really kind of getting in, I don't know, dissecting literature and your own writing, your own concepts. So it's just really nice to do something that feeds into creativity, but it's in a slightly different genre. So
your lyrics and songwriting, they're so beautifully crafted. You know, it really comes across when you listen to the song. It's something that is much rarer than people realize. I think, you know, good poetry and good lyrics. It's woefully absent from so much of you know, popular music, but not so much in folk and country, of course, because the emphasis is on the lyrics. But you know, you've really nailed it. So
thank you so much. Thank you. But
that's great. So are you going to give us another track? Do you have something in mind?
Yeah. So you want to move on to let's just listen to some Weissenborn? Is that?
Yeah, I think that's a good time. Yeah.
Yeah. Sunlight finds me in the morning, burns the walls of motel shame. We lay like thieves last night together, stole me but never knew my name. Back home my baby needs my comfort, her daddy's holding her hand. My mama's praying to believing that what is lost can still be found. My hotel wrecking days are over. My hotel wrecking days are done. Now the sun is getting warmer. My new life has begun. My new life has begun. Keep on passing open windows. I'm always running out on you. Once we were sweet among the flowers. You held me close in bonnets blue. My hotel wrecking days are over. My hotel wrecking days are done. Now the sun is getting warmer. My new life has begun. My new life has begun. Outside the light is glowing. Help me start anew. I'm stranded in the dust, but I'm knowing that I'm coming home to you. whole Cherokee day's done. Now the sun is getting warmer. My new life has begun. My new life has begun. My whole Cherokee days are over. My new life has begun.
That's just gorgeous. Lorna, Neil, it's been a privilege to have you here. I hope you've enjoyed yourself.
Yes, very much.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ian, and thank you to Tom as well.
Tom as well.
Thank you,
Behind
Tom.
the scenes there.